Good afternoon, a very warm welcome to Italy, to Val di Sole in Trentino. We're ready for round 10 of the UCI Cyclo-cross World Cup. And to say it's cold up here would be an understatement. It's absolutely freezing, but the snow cross will always provide some warm entertainment for us this afternoon. Let's take a look at the standings. Fem van Empel is the leader of this World Cup, 330 points to the 225 of Puck Peters, so an advantage now of 105 points for the World Cup leader. There's no doubt the Italians are going to be cheering on the likes of Silvia Persico, Eva Lechner, Letizia Borghese. But it's going to be a very, very different race today to that we've seen during the season so far. It's all about the snow and the ice. Well, we're getting ready then to bring the riders onto the start line. Let's hear from some of the riders who should animate today's race.
Magali Duchet, how about today's conditions? Because everybody is crashing.
Yeah, I crashed too. It's very icy, completely different from yesterday. Yesterday we had to kind of plow through the snow and try to float over it. This morning is like an icy highway. So really, really fast, but the corners are still, on ice. So I think it will be a fast race, but at the same time you have to be very careful. It's new conditions for everyone, completely different from last year.
It proved during Recon, you crashed. What happened?
Yeah, the whole lap goes very well, but at the end I crashed the descent, so I go a bit at the right and then I crashed. So my knee's bleeding at the moment, so hopefully it will recover fast for the race.
Silvia Persico, che cosa è possibile oggi?
Ma sicuramente correre in casa è qualcosa di magico, soprattutto con la maglia tricolore, quindi proverò a dare il mio meglio, darò il mio meglio per ottenere un buon risultato. Sicuramente finire sul podio credo che sia un po' l'obiettivo del giorno e ci proverò. Ieri ho provato ed era molto scivoloso, molto farinoso, oggi è un po' più ghiacciato e sembra un po' più una gara di strada. Sicuramente quest'anno ho delle tecniche nella guida, cioè una buona tecnica nella guida, quindi spero di fare una buona gara oggi.
Hai vinto 4 volte a livello nazionale, qual è la difficoltà di vincere a livello World Cup?
Ma sicuramente diciamo che in Italia c'era un livello un po' inferiore, quindi qua ci sono tutte le migliori al mondo, però non ho paura, sicuramente mi farò valere.
Just how dangerous is it?
Well, yesterday it was more like a slushy, the snow. So then your handlebars went everywhere. So it was really tiring for your arms. Today it's more ice. I don't know what's better actually. I think if you crash here on the hard-packed ice, it's a bit worse. But the speed is much higher and you can put a lot more power out. So that's nice.
Is luck gonna play an important part?
I think so. I think that if you can stay on the bike the whole race and you don't crash or you don't slip away in the uphill or in the corners, I think you're in advantage here. And that's going to be a very difficult thing to do today.
Best of luck.
Good to hear from some of the riders. Silvia Persico, of course, saying that it's always fantastic to wear the colours of Italy when you're at home, and looking forward to a good race for her. The most important thing is to stay safe. Technically, it's going to be very, very difficult, this course. The riders are now having to understand how this course is going to race, because it's changed totally, as you heard. We're at an altitude of 1,261 meters. We're right at the foot of Passo de Tonale, which divides Trentino and Lombardia regions. And the thing about this course is that there is no sun on it at all. You'll see we're right in the shade of the mountain. The women might get 10 minutes of sunshine on this course, but that might be about it. Other than that, we're right in the shade, and that is causing this course to be very, very icy because of the temperature. Yesterday, when the riders recce'd this course, there'd been a big, heavy dump of snow the night before, as you can see here. Then it iced over a little bit, but then it rained during the morning, which meant that it was really slushy. What's happened overnight is that the temperature dropped to about -10. At 8 o'clock this morning, it was -4, and hasn't really changed too much since that time. So now this course is hard-packed ice in many, many places. We know that Fem van Empel had a pretty big crash. We saw her sitting on the course by the barriers. She took a very, very heavy fall. She hit one of the poles at the side of the course, and it took her about 10 minutes until she got back on the bike and then made her way to a camper. And since then, she hasn't ridden at all, other than just warming up on the rollers. So we don't know how Fem van Empel is after that very big crash. So let's see how this race unfolds. 6 rows of the grid being called forward by Paolo May, the speaker here in Val di Sole. Paolo May, the speaker of the Giro d'Italia, and does an awful lot of snow events up here in the mountains, including the likes of Tour de Ski and the Val di Sole Cyclo-cross World Cup.
In Dublin from Luxembourg.
So the grid just being formed up. This time we've got a few riders missing. Lucinda Brand not here. She's with her team training, or has been over the last few days on the road.
European champion.
Pauline Franprevot sits out this round. She's been with the Ineos Grenadiers over the last few days. Marianne Vos is not anticipated to be back until the Christmas crosses, and Shireen van Anrooy has also been with Lucinda Brand with the Trek Segafredo team getting ready for the road season. We do have back in the race though the Canadian Magli Rochette, who we heard from just a few moments ago. We've also got Blanca Vass. We'll see her in just a moment. Letizia Borghese, Silva Persico. Nadia Heigl is also on the start line as well. So just a few moments until we get this race underway.
I've got a long sleeve race day on. Okay, no, I don't.
The riders just trying to keep as many jackets on as possible.
That's no good.
It's pretty cold. Here's Manon Bakker, twice 6th place the last 2 rounds. Looks like new bikes for Puck Peters. Peters 2 wins in this World Cup so far. There's the tyre selections for plenty of grip. Fem van Empel, fist bumps between those 2 riders. 9 rounds, all in the top 2. Celine Del Carmen Alvarado is back, 2nd in Waterloo. Let's see if the form has built. Plenty of grip on the tyres for this afternoon. Alain Clausel, always a fast starter, still looking for that big result. Blanca Vass on the front row of the grid, best place, 5th so far. Back racing after a break to be with her road team. Front row of the grid, bronze medalist in the World Championships, Silvia Persico. We haven't seen her for the last few rounds of racing. Also on the front row of the grid, Marie Schreiber, 5th last time, her first time in the top 6. Second row of the grid, Magli Rochette, Eva Lechner. 4th row of the grid for Nadia Heigl. And 6th row of the grid, Letizia Borghese. 1 minute until we get this race underway. 43 riders from 14 nations, 17 of them under 23. Round 10 of the UCI Cyclo-cross World Cup. We're on red. We wait for green. It's go, go, go in round 10 in Val di Sole. Fast start from Puck Peters as anticipated. And the run-in from the start line to the finish is around 75 metres. A fast right-hander onto snow now. And a dive down with the Italian champion right on the front. Silvia Persico. Oh, and a big fall already on the first corner. As Celine Del Carmen Alvarado said, if you can stay on your bike on this course, it can make a massive difference. Persico again sliding all over the place. Holding up Fem van Empel, who's way, way back. Holding up Puck Peters, who's now sneaked through into fifth. Alvarado, foot out, swings her way around that turn. Here's the crash. Persico just going in a little bit too hot into that slidey left-hander. And then another. Puck Peters fell. Fem van Empel locked it up on the left-hand side. This is a day where luck plays its part. The Val di Sole World Cup, seen last year as a little bit of an informal demonstration event to prove that cyclocross could one day become a Winter Olympic discipline. Of course, one of the guiding principles of the Winter Olympics is that sports are held on snow or ice. And there is a real hope that cyclocross could become part of the cyclocross of the Winter Olympics. We know that it could only become a Winter Olympic sport at the earliest 2030. But the aim is there to try and make that happen. Lechner having a good start. There's Fem van Empel, surprisingly, a lot further back than we would anticipate after that crash. Puck Peters managed to get herself out of the problems. Fem van Empel's taken a little bit of time. And I wonder whether that is because she had that big crash in the warm-up. And therefore she's not prepared to take the risks that anyone else is prepared to take. There's Blanca Vass in the red and white. There's Maghalie Rochette in that multicoloured kit on the right. But Celine Del Carmen Alvarado is using the ability to just ride away at the moment from the rest of this field. Alvarado with a slender advantage. Head of the race, Alvarado, Schreiber, Manon Bakker, Puck Peters, Silvia Persico. Lucia Bramati is in sixth place. Big kick up this really tough little climb by Alvarado, looking strong. Look at Peters has decided to run this section. That's a big surprise for a rider who technically is so good. And Rochette coming to an absolute standstill and sliding all over the place. Van Empel onto the wheel. Here's our leader. So this 3-kilometre course, the pits are at 1,000 metres and 2,500 metres. Built on the Nordic Ski Centre up here in Vermiglio. An altitude of 1,261 metres. Alvarado enjoying a nice clear track right now. As you would expect, the Italian crowd are giving the riders a really warm reception. This is the first time we've seen Alvarado at the front of a World Cup cyclocross for a considerable amount of time. She doesn't have to worry about anybody else. Persico in second place, Puck Peters in third, fourth place Manon Bakker, Marie Schreiber in fifth. Then there's a little bit of a gap back to the next rider on the course. There's the chasers on the right-hand side. Persico just kicking her way around that turn. There is Magli Rochette in that multicoloured kit with the specialised symbols around it. Just 2 places ahead of the World Cup leader and 1 place ahead of Blanka Vas in the Hungarian champions colours. There's Alvarado. Second place, Persico, then Puck Peters. Behind her, Manon Bakker. There's Marie Schreiber. Got her top 6 place in the World Cup for the first time just a week ago. Rochette looking good. First time back at the World Cup. She's ridden some of the Coupe de France over the last few weeks. Said last night, happy and excited to be back at the World Cup and felt that this was a good one to get started with, to get used to the speed of the World Cup. She felt that snow conditions really act as a bit of an equaliser for everybody else. It means that technique is super important, not just the speed and power you have. And she rode the course yesterday, felt good on it. So the most important thing for her, keep calm, keep moving, make it fun. Alvarado still with a bit of an advantage on the second place rider. It's about 5 seconds at the moment. She's being hunted down by Puck Peters, who started to find her legs on this course. Persico going with her. The gap now 4 seconds to these chasers. Well, Peters has been the rider who really has taken these races on over the last few weeks. Last time out in Dublin, it was Peters who really took the race on. So we make our way past the pit section. Ultimately, she was beaten by Fem Van Empel. Van Empel's got a fair amount of work to do right now. 33 seconds behind. There she is. I wonder whether that knee's giving her problems. Looks like we're going to have 3 riders who are going to join up at the front of this race. Alvarado just being careful around some of the twists and turns. And the first time that she'll have had some company. Alvarado does seem to have some good form today. She looks comfortable. Doesn't look like there's any stress in that body at all. She's just picking her way through the various twists and turns. There's Rochette on the wheel of Blanka Vas. There's Fem Van Empel. And just coming to a little bit of a standstill around there was Sara Casasola, another Italian rider, across the line to complete lap number 1. And once we've corrected it, it'll be about an 8:23 lap. The run-in's around about 9 seconds. So a leading group of 3, Puck Peters, Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, Silvia Persico. There's a gap back to the chasers. And Peters now deciding just to push this on a little bit. She likes to ride a race from the front. Persico trying to find some traction. She has a much more punchy style on a bike. Despite that fall and then a couple of trials and tribulations on that first lap, she still managed to save herself getting too far back. She's making a few more sliding errors than the other two riders at the front. So let's run through the top 10 riders for you at the end of lap number 1. Puck Peters leads. Celine Del Carmen Alvarado with her. Silvia Persico. And it's a gap of around about 18 seconds back to Manon Bakker. Marie Schreiber in 5th place. She's at 28. Blanca Vass is in 6th place. Then Fem Van Empel in 7th at 32 seconds at the moment. Maghalie Rochette of Canada in 8th place at 33. Sara Casasola, the Italian, in 9th place, and Nadia Heigl, who rides for the KTM Alchemist team, she's in 10th place at 45 seconds. So there's riders who've still already lost a considerable amount of time on that first lap of racing. I noticed Peters before the race had a phone out, taking some little videos, showing some of the other riders what sort of lines people were taking. This is our trio who are chasing. This would be a complete turn up for the books if Fem Van Empel doesn't get back up to the leaders. Let's bear in mind there's been 9 rounds of racing so far, and Van Empel has not been outside the top 2. When you look at her results of the year so far, she's had 14 races and not one of them is outside the top 2 places. That shows the consistency of a rider who's absolutely dominating women's cyclocross right now. And that first little turn where she got held up has caused her to lose a significant amount of time here. But also I wonder, oh, and this is a big fall. Fem Van Empel at the side of the course. I don't know what's happened here. Van Empel not even with her bike. We'll see if we get a replay of what happened. Oh, and hitting that pretty heavily. Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. Persico doing the same. And that's leaving Puck Peters with a bit of an advantage. Let's just take a look. Look at the way that the front wheel just dug into that snow. But what has happened to Fem Van Empel at the side of the course? That didn't look good. Clutching her knee. The leader is Puck Peters. 2nd place, Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. 3rd place, Silvia Persico. And unfortunately, I think we're going to see Fem Van Empel out of the race for the first time this season. No more news about Fem Van Empel yet. Alvarado, 2nd place. Has got daylight now back to Silvia Persico. Manon Bakker coming up to her wheel. Well, we're hearing that Van Empel's getting medical assistance at the moment. That would be terrible news for her and for all of us who've enjoyed watching her this season so far. She has been absolutely dominant. Two hours ago then, Van Empel crashed, hit a pole. Now she is seriously on the deck, but she's getting medical assistance. She's talking to everybody. We'll make sure that we get some news when we have it as to what has happened. There's Puck Peters, a little bit of a tumble on that slidey right-hand turn. Peters, though, seems to have the measure of this course now. 12 seconds on Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, 25 on Silvia Persico, 29 to Manon Bakker, Magli Rochette at 41 seconds. Then it's Marie Schreiber, then Blanca Vass, then Sara Casasola, Nadia Heigl, Kristina Zemanova.
Stanno facendo bene oltre a Casasola, ricordiamo che Casasola è ovviamente ha perso con una bella prestazione da segnalare anche per la pluricampionessa italiana, non solo.
Alvarado is still in the fight. So is Persico. None of these riders will give in. They know that Puck Peters is flying at the moment and has been for every single round. We know that Van Empel had hurt her knee when she crashed previously. In the crash images that we've seen, she's clutching her ankle more than her knee, but there was even no bike on site close to her. We wish her all the very best. Thanks for all your messages for her as well. It's super cold up here, and as Matt Joyner said, you crash on this these conditions, it's going to hurt anyway because it's so cold. The ice is pretty hard in places. Alvarado just relaxing a little bit as she makes her way down to complete the second lap of racing. The end of lap number 2, and Puck Peters has daylight now in the leads. An 8:17 lap, the fastest lap of the race so far. The sun is coming out on the finish straights. The only place really where we get a little bit of sunshine. Average speed 21.69 kilometers an hour. This is Magli Rochette in 4th place, having a good start to her World Cup campaign for Canada. It's with Manon Bakker. These two riders around about 45 seconds down. Bakker again heading for another top 6 place. We think back to last season, Rochette was in 3rd place in this race behind Fem Van Empel and Marianne Vos. On that day, Rochette took 3rd, Lechner took 4th, Denise Betzema took 5th, she's not here this time, and Elaine Clausel took 6th place. Here's our leader on her new painted machines. These two are going to urge each other on. You can see the way Persico is still keen to try and get back to Puck Peters. And because this course is so icy, and one little mistake could cost you the lead and could cost you 2nd place, Persico seems to be able to get round some of these turns right on the absolute limit. Pretty impressive.
Race for former Italian champion Eva Lechner, down by 1 minute and 37 seconds. Division in the front with Puck Peters.
Alvarado trying to kick on a little bit more to see if she can get herself back up to the front of the race. That's Persico, bronze medalist in the UCI Road World Championships, of course. Oh, this is not good news, is it? This is Fem Van Empel. And that is not good news at all. They've had to wrap her up, of course, because it is so cold, but I noticed that the feet are strapped together at the moment. Terrible news for the World Cup leader. Let's hope we get some better news once she gets the medical assistance away from the course. Here's our second and third place riders. Alvarado coming into this next turn. Persico was one of the revelations of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. She finished 5th overall last year. Buck Peters making really short work of the obstacles in her way. Persico's road season last year: 7th in Brabantse Pijl, 8th in Trofeo Binda, 10th in Strade Bianche. On the podium of the World Championships. Alvarado hates this little hill now. Not enjoying it at all. Here she is, every time almost gets to the top, just doesn't have the momentum to get all the way up. If you've just joined us now, unfortunately we've lost the World Cup leader Fem van Empel from today's race, having a crash out on the course. She's been taken away by the medical team. We hope that it's nothing worse than some bruising, but at the moment she's been taken away on a stretcher. We know that she's talking and everything, so it's nothing like that. It's more, has she just bruised something or has she broken something? Let's hope that she can be back on the bike pretty quickly. She's joining the Jumbo-Visma team in 2 weeks' time. She really has been the rider of the season, and if we lose her out of the World Cups and World Championships, that would not be great news. It's our second and third place riders. Persico somehow is keeping that bike going forward even when she's almost crashing in the corners. Thanks very much for all the messages. As always, you can get hold of us at UCI_cycling. That's on our social media feeds. You can get hold of me at Ant McCrossan. A few messages. Matthew Cox, hello to you. Also Ethan, hello to you, and I'm glad you're watching. And hello to your friends Sean and Brian as well. Matt Joyner, message you. Thank you very much for your thoughts about Fem van Empel. Here's the current situation. Peters, 18 seconds ahead of Alvarado, 19 seconds on Persico, 53 on Bakker and 1 minute on Rochette. Puck Peters is giving a display of technical expertise. We all know just how good she is with her ability to hurdle the barriers and deal with contours of a course that others can't ride. And today that course, this course absolutely suits that ability. Here's Rochette. Had about a month off after illness. Good to see her back and racing. Haven't got Anna-Marie Verst back racing yet either. We hope to have her back in this group of riders very, very soon. Peters really is starting to motor now, isn't she? Look at the way she is going around this course into that one little sunny section. And the sunshine is starting to actually be pretty strong across this course now. on this far side, as you can see. The rest of it in the shades. That'll mean that it will get a little bit more slushy as this race carries on. We're going to have 6 laps of racing in total. Persico starting to open up an advantage on Celine del Carmen Alvarado. Here's Rochette. A little bit of problem with that pole. Back up to Puck Peters with another fast lap. She really is starting to get used to this course. She's gone 8:23, 8:17, 8:13, just setting the fastest lap of the race so far. 21.89 kilometers an hour. Persico goes through at 25 seconds. Alvarado goes through at 28. Peters then really is starting to cause mayhem behind her. No one is able to go with the pace that this rider is setting. Persico diving her way over that little section. Rides at the moment for the Valcar Travel and Service squads. Silvia Persico. She'll be moving across to another road team as Manon Bakker goes through at 1 minute and 11 seconds. Fastest lap times then. Puck Peters with the 21.89 kilometre an hour lap. She's, and a problem for Persico. Chains come off. Let's take another look. Fell into that turn. Loses the bike. And the chain had come off as well. So Puck Peters has a lap time that's 8 seconds faster than any other rider. Third fastest lap time is this rider, Celine del Carmen Alvarado, as we switch back to Persico. 9.5 seconds slower. The fourth fastest lap is Magli Rochette on lap 2 with 21.09. Peters seems to be absolutely thriving on this course today. Fifth fastest lap time, Manon Bakker. Sixth fastest lap time is Marie Schreiber. Peters looks so confident today, doesn't she? Let's take a look at the top 10 for you and then run through some of the other nationalities of riders. Keep an eye always at the bottom of the screen. As Peters takes that snowy turn. The top 10 then. Puck Peters of the Netherlands. Celine del Carmen Alvarado of the Netherlands. The Italian champion, Silvia Persico. Manon Bakker of the Netherlands. The Canadian Magli Rochette. The Luxembourger Marie Schreiber. The Italian Sara Casasola. The Hungarian Blanka Vas in 8th. Nadia Heigl, the Austrian champion, in 9th. And Kristina Zemanova of the Czech Republic in 10th. I think it's the most cosmopolitan top 10 of riders that we've had all season, which has been pretty much dominated by the Dutch. In terms of other riders, Alain Clauzel of France in 12th, Sydney McGill of Canada in 13th place, having another good ride today. Caitlin Bernstein of the USA is in 18th place. Taylor Cook-White of the USA in 21st at this moment. Persico is starting to get this course. Using her road power to good effect to get herself up that climb. We're on lap 4 of 6. Coming up to the 30-minute mark now.
Vincitrice consecutivamente nelle prove di Oberheis dove aveva vinto la Geo-blocking tra gli uomini, ancora seconda Antwerpen e seconda Dublino, dove per gli uomini aveva primeggiato.
Puck Peters taking that high line around the course, which is always important. And here's Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. It's chosen tyres with significant grip today. So difficult to work out what you do because there's so much ice underneath the tyres as well. There's very little to grip onto. There's Persico. Persico dressed with full leg warmers, almost a winter top on as well. Alvarado in her career, we've seen her win the World Championships, as you can see from the rainbow bands around the cuffs of that jersey. Alvarado, the world champion in 2020. Haven't seen too much of Marianne Vos so far this season in the World Championship colours, but she will be back over the Christmas period. Can Persico get herself back to Celine Del Carmen Alvarado in second place? The Italians really loving the fact that there's an Italian rider potentially on the podium today. She did say she was really looking forward to wearing the Italian champions colours in her hometown, on her home race. She's been susceptible to a few little errors today, but that's not a surprise. Everyone's making mistakes here. The chainsaws are out here in Val di Sole. We're on lap 4 of 6. And still Puck Peters is dominating the race. Persico again having a problem. How many times has that chain come off today? Riding with a 1x setup. This is Manon Bakker riding for the Crayland team. This would be her best results of the season so far. Her best results so far, 2 6th places. That was in Antwerp and Dublin, the last 2 rounds. So Bakker is making real progress. We've seen her finish in the top 6 in the Under-23 World Championships. That was in 2020 when Marion Norbert Riberold took the win ahead of Blanca Vass, Anna Kay and Katie Klaus. Bakker was in 5th place on that occasion, ahead of Inge van der Heide. Peters seems to have settled into her rhythm now. Comes around the corner to complete lap number 4. She's got 2 more laps of racing to go. Puck Peters, our solo leader after 12.075 kilometres. That's an 8:16 lap for Puck Peters. Here's Alvarado, round the turn. Alvarado now at around about 32 seconds, consolidating her second place. An 8:21 lap that time for Alvarado, 5 seconds slower than Puck Peters. Persico seems to be pretty set in 3rd place at the moment. And she is With the sound of Paolo May in the background. Leersman on backer. It looks like you're on the piste, doesn't it? The ski slope in the background. Backer working away towards the end of lap number 4. The leader on lap 5 already. Alan Backer could be looking at a World Championship challenge this year. Puck Peters seems to have the lines worked out. He's taken a really good look at this course, did so yesterday. Rode it in the slushy conditions. Today she's riding it with just as much accomplishment. Total focus. Here's Persico again. Has there been another fall? Doesn't deck the bike that time. Manages to get going. Through the misty conditions for the leader. Now bear in mind, we're going to see a situation here where there's 40 points for the win, and unfortunately for Fem van Empel, she had a pretty unassailable lead with 105 points lead on Puck Peters. That gap is going to drop by 40 if Peters continues like this, because Van Empel is not going to score at all. Betsema isn't here in 3rd place. Neither is Inge van der Heide in 4th, or Van Anrooy in 5th, which means that Peters is going to edge herself very, very close to the World Cup lead. She's going to cut it by 40 points, which would have been unthinkable before the start of this race. Would put her 65 points behind Fem van Empel. It's not the way that Puck Peters would have wanted to have cut that deficit, but it's going to happen. Such a different course, isn't it, compared to what we're used to. The organiser, the head of the organisation, Thomas van der Spiegel, said in the last few days, last year's success demonstrates that Val di Sole has got the potential to become a real fixture in the World Cup calendar, a real classic. He was very confident that the public would come out and support. Last year, of course, we still had COVID restrictions, but this time no restrictions, so there are fans here from Belgium and from the Netherlands. Peters just working her way around that turn, just can't find any traction. Riders have got some studs in the shoes today. It's taken Peters an inordinate amount of time to get going on this section after coming to a standstill. Well, the cowbells are out in force and the atmosphere is lovely and warm. In contrast to the freezing conditions these riders are enduring today. For some, they'll just be happy to get to the end. Some will never want to ride on the snow ever again, and some will absolutely thrive in these conditions. It's been a long time since we saw Celine del Carmen Alvarado at the front of the race like this. We have to go back to Waterloo at the beginning of this season, where she finished in 2nd place. Apart from that, we have not seen her at the front of the race. Thanks very much for the messages. We send our very best to Fem van Empel. We'll try and get some information about Van Empel as soon as we possibly can. I know some of you are a little bit worried about, like Miriam and David, thanks for your message, and others who just want to know that she's okay. We know that it's more than likely to be either massive bruising or something broken, so we just hope for the former. Some lovely slow motion shots though of the main animators of today's race. And another fall for the Italian. Quick question from John Oulette asking what pedals most of the riders have got, and they're pretty much all using the SPD style pedals. They clip in nice and easily, they're double-sided, so it means that the riders can just get their feet in the pedals nice and easily. Past the chainsaws, as we always get in the mountains, in mountain biking and cyclocross. But Peter's still with the fastest lap, an 8:13 lap for her. Alvarado consolidating her second place now. There's our current situation. Rochette of Canada is going to finish, if she carries on like this, in the top 6. Let's run through our top 10 riders for you as we take a look here at Celine del Carmen Alvarado and switch back to Puck Peters. Peters leads after 41 minutes. As she comes round to get the bell.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last lap for the leader.
1 lap to go, and Puck Peters is the rider who is in the lead. An 8:21 lap that time, her second slowest lap of the race. She's got time in hand. She can ride a nice steady lap, not take any big risks on the course. Around the corner for Celine del Carmen Alvarado, her teammate. Third place, Persico, still having a few trials and tribulations. The Italian champion will give the Italian fans something to cheer about in around about 9 minutes' time. Over this little rise, working our way towards the completion of lap number 5. Here's Peters. A little glance across. Still looking good. End of the penultimate lap for the Italian Silvia Persico as we take a look here at our current leader. Let's run through the top 10 for you then. Puck Peters leads. Celine del Carmen Alvarado there in the blue in second place. The Italian Silvia Persico in third. Fourth place, the Dutch rider Manon Bakker. Fifth for the Canadian Magli Rochette. Behind her, the Luxembourger Marie Schreiber. Another Canadian rider in seventh place, Sydney McGill. We haven't seen that in a World Cup before. Alain Clauzel in eighth, the French rider. Sara Casasola, the Italian, in ninth. Nadia Heigl in 10th place. Peters then has ridden a pretty accomplished race, 8:23 opener with an 8:17 second lap, then the fastest lap of the race, an 8:13, then 8:16, then 8:21. The fastest lap time, 21.89 kilometres an hour. Persico is now the second fastest lap of the race. That was on lap 3 as well. Celine Del Carmen Alvarado's fastest lap was an 8:21, so 8 seconds slower than Puck Peters. Fourth fastest lap, Manon Bakker. Fifth fastest lap, Magali Rochette. It's taken Alvarado a few weeks to get herself back on the podium, but this is looking good so far. This rider last season was so troubled with tiredness and fatigue. A blood test showing that something was going a little bit awry, but now this rider is back on the top of her game. Real class from Celine Del Carmen Alvarado today. She looks really good.
Adesso vediamo le altre due nostre rappresentanti nella top 10, Sara Casassola e Eva Lechner, che prima erano settime e none, adesso si trovano none sulla lifetime.
Thanks very much for all your messages. Thanks for being in touch. Very much appreciated. I hope you're enjoying a bit of cyclocross on a Saturday, which is unusual. Reason for that is tomorrow is the World Cup soccer final, so it's all about television. The major broadcasters asking if the World Cup cyclocross could take place on Saturday instead of Sunday. So a little bit of an unusual setup. Here's our fifth place rider. If you want to get a real sense of what it's like to ride a cyclocross season, I'd suggest subscribe to Magali Rochette's newsletter. So we'll just take a look at Persico here. Oh, a little bit of a slide for the Italian again. Bike sliding all over the place. As I was saying, subscribe to Magali Rochette's newsletter. You can do that on her website because she gives you real insight every single race as to what it's like to ride a World Cup or a Super Prestige or an XTO race. It's fascinating insight. She really does go into a lot of detail. So take a look at her website or her social media. You'll find a link to be able to do that because it's very much well worth it if you are a fan of the sport and you like to understand what these riders go through, what their travel's like, their days at their race are like. Alvarado still in second, looking comfortable. If you've just joined us now then, Puck Peters is the leader, ahead of Alvarado, Persico of Italy, Bakker of the Netherlands, Rochette of Canada, Schreiber of Luxembourg. Bad news that Fem van Empel is out of the race after a crash. She crashed in the warm-up, she crashed in the race itself, and so far we don't have any real information as to how she is. Persico just having to work her way around those turns, trying to find a little bit more grip on the left-hand side. Looks more comfortable on that section, and at the moment Bakker is hunting her down to try and take her third place away. A real move by Manon Bakker, the Dutch rider, to take this third place. She's really closed the gap. Women's races need to be as close to 50 minutes as possible. We're at 48.5. We're almost at the end of this lap. The final lap of racing. Celine Del Carmen Alvarado still has plenty of time in hand. I don't know if Persico realises that Bakker is so close to her. Manuel Bakker looking for a podium finish in a World Cup. I'm just thinking through, I don't think Bakker has ever finished in the podium of World Cup since Overijse in the 2020 season. It's been a little bit of time since Bakker has been on that podium. Can she do it again? Peters goes into that slushy part of the course. Here's our leader looking for her third win of the season. Not far away now from taking the victory over this little rise and then down towards the finish line. She turns the corner. It's going to be the third win in the World Cup. Puck Peters takes Val di Sole in Trentino. She led pretty much from the start. Puck Peters has got a hat-trick of wins. Celine Del Carmen Alvarado started the season in second place in Waterloo. It's taken her another 8 rounds until she's made her way into second place again. Look at this duel for third. Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, second place for her today. Her best performance for weeks of the season. Persico is doing everything she can to ensure that Manon Bakker does not take third place and make sure that an Italian is on the podium. Persico trying to block the turn. Bakker takes third place on the road. Let's see what happens. Oh, the Italian crashes. She was doing everything she could to protect that third place. Coming round the corner, her first podium finish this season. Manon Bakker, third place for her today. And now a sprint for the line for fourth between Rochette and Persico. Who got it? It looks like Persico just took fourth. Rochette takes fifth. I'm not sure though. We have to wait for the final result. Here's that turn. Bakker got the inside. Persico touching the wheel on the inside. She had nowhere to go. Confirmed then that Persico took fourth, Rochette took fifth. What a finish that was. Well, we wait for the rest of the riders to come round that final corner. It's been an eventful race today, there's no doubt about that. We just wait for news of the World Cup leader. We don't see many big crashes in cyclocross. Heading now to the finish. Manon Bakker's last lap was the second fastest lap of the race. So was Magali Rochette's. So those two riders came back with one big final lap. Marie Schreiber heading to the finish, the Luxembourger. The second top six of the season. Marie Schreiber, sixth place for her for Luxembourg. Alain Clausel closing in on seventh place. just overtaken the Italian Sara Casasola into that turn. And it looks like Clauzel is going to race away to take a top 10 finish here. 7th place for Alain Clauzel. 8th place goes to the Italian Sara Casasola. Behind them, Sydney McGill is going to put another Canadian in the top 10. 9th place for her. 10th place for Semenova. 11th place for the Austrian champion Nadia Heigl. And then just behind, Eva Lechner in 12th place. Behind them, Fleur Moos. Then it's Alicia Frank. What a race we had today. Let's start to hear from some of the riders before we go to the podium. Here's Silvia Pasico.
I don't know, I choose the tires for wet, so I don't know, but today was so slippery and my drive was my best drive, but I don't know what's happened. I'm happy for the 4th place because it's my first World Cup, and I hope to take a podium today because we are in Italy, but it's okay, and thank you to all the people that cheer for me, and I hope to do another good World Cup in the next week.
Che cosa puoi dire su questa corsa incredibile con tanti cadute?
Ma oggi sono caduta tante volte, sono partita credo con i tubolari giusti, anche con le pressioni giuste, però non so cosa è successo, non stavo in piedi, c'era tanto ghiaccio, quindi sono contenta per questo 4º posto. Mi dispiace un po' per il podio perché correvo qua in Italia, qui in casa, e fa niente, dai, ci rifaremo le prossime gare. Grazie a tutti per il tifo e niente.
Grazie.
Thank you.
Silvia Pasico thanking everybody for their support. Her first World Cup of the season, finishes in 4th place. As she said, I chose the tyres for the wet, but it was just so slippery out there. And I think all the riders are having a few trials and tribulations with what tyres to ride, because part of the course is slushy and part of the course is just ice. Let's take a look at the result of round 10 of the UCI Cyclo-cross World Cup. Puck Peters takes the victory, 44 seconds ahead of Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. In 3rd place, Manon Bakker of the Netherlands, an all-Dutch podium again. Pasico in 4th, Rochette in 5th, and Schreiber in 6th. This is the situation now. We still wait for news of Fem van Empel, 330 points. The gap is now cut. Puck Peters on 265. Alvarado now in 4th, 3rd, then Betsema in 4th, Van der Heide in 5th, and Van Anrooy in 6th place.
Bene, ma ci siamo agli limiti delle nostre credo che Paolo per le connessioni sarà un grande show sicuramente.
Puck Peters waiting for the podium and her interviews.
Sarà un buon divertimento per tutti, sia atleti che noi a fare tipo. A dopo, ciao.
Let's hear now from the winner today, Puck Peters.
Puck Peters, congratulations, you're the ice queen, but it definitely wasn't a holiday on ice.
No. I think everyone made mistakes today, and I'm happy I didn't crash too hard. There were a few spots on the course that were really slippery, but luckily most of the course I could put out much power.
It even looked like the course became much more difficult as the race progressed.
Yeah, as the laps went on, I got more of a grip because I knew where to ride and where not. But some corners got more and more slippery, that's for sure.
You're trailing now by 65 points in the World Cup GC. Are you still hoping of winning that GC in the World Cup?
We'll see how the next races go. Fem, of course, is still a big lead. She can even skip some races and she'll be in the lead. Yeah, I'll see how it goes. If I win a few more races, then it's definitely possible. But only time will tell.
Congratulations, massive victory.
Buck Peters cuts the gap significantly with that crash of Fem van Empel today. Round 10 of the UCI Cyclo-cross World Cup, and a very fast start with the riders today facing the snow course of Val di Sole. The early corners gave us an indication of just how technical this course was going to be. Slipping and sliding. The low temperatures overnight has turned the course to an icy one compared to a slushy one when the riders did their reconnaissance the day before. Big problem for the World Cup leader, Fem van Empel. She hit a pole and was carried away by stretcher. We've since heard that there are no major injuries, though, to Fem van Empel. Ahead of the race, once she got there, Buck Peters put in a big lap of 8 minutes and 13 seconds to set the fastest lap of the race. Celine del Carmen Alvarado having a few problems with this tricky little ascent, and the Italian Silvia Persico also slipping and sliding her way to the top. This 3-kilometre course built on the Nordic Skiing Centre in Vermilio, which sits at an altitude of 1,261 metres. More crashes for Persico, who later on said that despite choosing what she thought were the right tyres, she had lots of problems today. Many times she had to put her chain back on. At the finish line, though, Fem van Empel took the victory, her third win in this campaign. Celine del Carmen Alvarado back on the podium for the first time since Waterloo, the first race of the season. Persico crashed on the final couple of turns into the finish, and Manon Bakker took her first podium since the 2021 season in Overijse. Before we get to the podium, we are getting reports now that Fem van Empel doesn't seem to have had any serious injuries.
What a battle it was with Persico. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was a really hectic race. I crashed a few times, then I lost Celine and Persico, and I thought I was riding for fourth, and then I saw Persico riding in the last lap, and I thought just give it a full gas. And yeah, it was a really battle at the end, and I came in as first in the corner, and then yeah, sadly she crashed, but it was good for me because then I took third place.
Congratulations on that podium spot. Manon Bakker, derde na een bewogen wedstrijd, dat is het minste wat we kunnen zeggen.
Ja, zeker. Ja, zeker de eerste ronde. Er waren zoveel valpartijen. Dat had ik al een beetje verwacht. Dus de eerste ronde probeerde ik echt op safe te rijden. En daarna mijn eigen wedstrijd te rijden, waar ik soms iets te veel risico's nam en onderuit gleed. Alleen uiteindelijk vielen alle puzzelstukjes toch in elkaar met een mooie derde plek.
En hoe kan je valpartijen vermijden? Of is dat totaal onmogelijk op het soort ondergrond van de dag?
Ik denk zeker dat je wel een keertje valt. Minder risico's val je minder vaak. Ik viel de eerste keer gewoon omdat ik de aansluiting met het eerste groepje wou maken. En ja, toen maakte ik de fout. Dus als je gewoon gecontroleerd rijdt, dan kun je valpartijen vermijden.
Hoe belangrijk is die derde plek voor jou?
Heel belangrijk. Ik was al een poosje geleden dat ik weer op het podium stond. En ik wist dat ik kon, maar alles zat gewoon tegen dit jaar. En het is mooi om dat nu te doen, zeker met het WK in zicht.
Geniet ervan, van die derde plek. Proficiat, Manon Bakker.
Dankjewel.
Very happy Manon Bakker taking a podium finish today. And the last couple of turns she managed to find her way through to take that podium finish. Just catching Silvia Persico.
Celine Alvarado almost
Here's
the
Celine
ice queen
Carmen
of the day,
Alvarado.
but what happened after all?
I think I made a bit too many mistakes in the first 2 laps. I crashed a few times and I lost the connection with Puck. Eventually, if you see, we were riding almost at the same pace. So it was just the first few laps. Second, and I can be satisfied.
Was this the most slippery surface you ever raced on?
I think so. It was very icy. Sometimes you didn't even could see it, and it was. You were just riding on ice, not even snow anymore. So I think that it was the most slippery one yet. Yes.
Congratulations, runner-up Celine Alvarado.
Celine del Carmen Alvarado. She really did look superb in that first lap where she was moving away from everybody, but did make a few little mistakes. The crowd waiting for the podium presentation. It should happen any moment now. Don't forget we have the men's race also today. That will be coming up not too long. Around about 15 minutes away from the men's race. A real ski atmosphere up here in Val di Sole. Not really the beer and frites that we're used to in cyclocross. The male riders have been out taking a look at the course. They did that just before the women's race, so they'll have got a bit of a flavour of just what this course is like. It's not changed too much, as you've been able to see, but it does mean that it's a lot more icy than they might expect. Also, with the snow being taken off the top by the women who've been racing, there might be points in the course that might just be filled in with a little bit of snow to at least give something for the riders to grip onto. We wait for the podium presentation of round 10 of this World Cup.
Kort, ja, het was heel erg schrikken, de val van Fem van Empel. Vertel.
Don't forget also that over the Christmas period we've got some cyclocross for you. So if you want to settle down and enjoy some racing, make sure you join us. It's taking a little bit of time for the riders just to get warm and get themselves up here to the podium, but here we go. Remember, our top 10 included 2 Canadian riders today, Sydney McGill and Maghalie Rochette. Top 10 also included Sara Casasola and Christina Zemanova today.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention for the award ceremony of the UCI Cyclo-cross World Cup here in Val di Sole, category Elite Women. Signore e signori, la vostra attenzione.
We're ready for the podium presentation of round number 10.
Val di Sole, categoria Elite al femminile. Ladies and gentlemen, and for praise from the Netherlands, signore e signori, al terzo posto dall'Olanda, Manon Bakker.
Third place today for Manon Bakker.
Ladies gentlemen, in second place from the Netherlands, signore e signori, al secondo posto dall'Olanda, Celine del Carmen Alvarado.
Celine del Carmen Alvarado in second place.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the winner today in Val di Sole for the elite women from the Netherlands, signore e signori, la vincitrice del giorno qui in Val di Sole per la categoria elite al femminile, dall'Olanda, Pak Peters.
The winner today, Pak Peters.
The medals and the trophy are presented by Mr. Lorenzo Ciccolini, President of the Institutional Committee. I fiori e il trofeo vengono consegnati dal signor Lorenzo Ciccolini,
There's our
Presidente
podium here in Val di Sole in Italy.
Signor Ciccolini può provvedere a consegnare il premio alle prime 3 classificate, grazie. Ora un applauso per la terza classificata, Manuel Bacher. Applauso per la seconda classificata, Celine del Carmen Alvarado.
And the two teammates alongside each other on the podium today from the Alpecin de Koenig team.
Signore e signori, l'applauso per la vincitrice dall'Olanda, Pak Peters. Now, ladies and gentlemen,
And
your
now
attention,
for
please,
the national
in the honor
anthem
of the
of
winner,
the Netherlands.
The national anthem of the Netherlands. Signore e signori, in onore della vincitrice viene suonato l'inno nazionale d'Olanda. Pak Peters,
An emotional Manon Bakker on the podium. She finishes on the podium for the first time for a couple of seasons. All the hard work pays off. We've also heard that Fem van Empel's got a massive bruise on her upper left leg. She's limping around, not far away here from the podium. She's going to have a checkup in the Netherlands tomorrow, but everyone thinks there's nothing broken, just mentally a big shock after a big crash. And the first time that she's been not finished a race for a long time, but also the first time this season she's not been in the top 2 in a bike race. We celebrate with our podium. Pak Peters wins her 3rd race of the season in the World Cup. Well, thanks very much for joining us for the women's race here in Val di Sole. We'll be back shortly for the men's race. Pak Peters takes the win in the snow. Bye for now.
Congratulations.